Welcome to Librarian Oasis. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Eleanor.
Today we're diving deep into Nexus, A Brief History of Information Networks by Yuval Noah Harari.
Oh, this one's going to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about how information shapes our world.
Really, it's a journey, from ancient myths to the power of AI.
Exactly. And it shows how these networks, these information networks, have always been the backbone of human power and cooperation.
We highly recommend you grab a copy of the book and follow along with us.
Yeah, for the full experience.
Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So right from the start, Harari challenges us, he challenges this fundamental assumption that information is primarily about, representing reality.
Oh, interesting.
But instead, he argues it's about influencing behavior.
So it's not about accuracy.
No.
It's about impact.
It's about impact, yeah.
Think about Sher Ami.
Sher Ami, yeah.
The heroic pigeon who saved a lost battalion in World War I. The message wasn't about describing the battlefield. It was a desperate plea, stop firing on your own men.
Wow, so it's more than just,
Yeah.
information's not just a mirror reflecting the world.
No.
It's a tool, it's a lever
It's a force.
that can shift the course of events.
Precisely. And he gives another great example.
Okay.
The Balfour Declaration?
Yes, the Balfour Declaration.
It wasn't just, a description of Palestine.
Right.
It was a political promise to create a Jewish homeland there. That single document, just that one piece of information, reshaped the Middle East,
Wow.
demonstrating the power of information to create reality.
So information's like the building block of these political realities. It's a heavy thought, but how does this play out
Well, that's a good question.
in the larger story of human history?
Well, that's where Harari introduces this concept of intersubjective reality.
Intersubjective realities.
Yeah, in chapter 2. Humans, he argues, are storytelling animals.
We are storytelling animals. I like that.
We weave narratives that create things we collectively believe in, even without concrete evidence.
Okay, so I'm already a bit skeptical here.
Yeah,
Are we saying that objective truth doesn't matter?
that's a great question.
What about, things like propaganda
Absolutely.
or misinformation?
That's a valid concern. And Harari acknowledges those dangers, the danger of manipulating these shared beliefs.
Right.
But his point is that,
Yeah.
for better or for worse, these stories shape our world. Take the story of Jesus.
Okay.
There's no archaeological evidence that he existed.
That's true.
Yet Christianity has fundamentally shaped Western civilization.
Okay, I see your point.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about whether a story is objectively true,
Right.
but about its impact.
Exactly. It's about the power of belief itself to shape reality.
Okay.
And this is not just in Western traditions,
Right.
Think about the Ramayana.
Ramayana, okay.
It's a cornerstone of Hindu mythology. There are countless versions of this epic, each reflecting the cultural context it was told in.
So you have different interpretations, different tellings.
Yes.
But they all contribute to this shared understanding of Hindu values and beliefs.
Exactly. The story, in its many forms, becomes this glue that holds a culture's reality together.
Interesting. So the story's the glue,
Yeah.
but then
They have the
everything
origin.
changes
Yes.
with the invention of writing.
Writing.
Okay.
This is big.
Buckle up, everyone. We're entering the world of bureaucracy in Chapter 3.
Oh, bureaucracy.
I didn't expect to get excited about paperwork,
I know, right?
but Harari makes it fascinating.
It does. He does.
It really does.
It's because of the advent of writing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about recording information. It was about control. Think about those ancient Chinese bureaucrats
Yes.
counting rat holes in granaries.
Boy.
Sounds tedious, I know.
Yeah, that sounds very tedious.
But it reveals a shift, a crucial shift. Suddenly you have this explosion of data that needs to be managed.
Right.
Organized, interpreted.
So writing enables these complex systems of governance.
And those systems, in turn, they demand more information. It's the birth of bureaucracy, archives, legal systems, empires built on the power of the written word.
Okay, so more information, though.
Yeah.
It brings new anxieties, right?
Of course.
Like, how do you even begin to classify and categorize all this data?
Right. Like, where does it all go? How do we organize it?
Harari uses this example of trying to neatly categorize animals into species.
Oh, yeah.
But you have things like ring species and hybrids that blur the lines.
Yeah, it shows the limitations of
All
our
right.
human-made system,
Wait,
revealing that the natural world is messy.
The natural world is messy.
It is.
And speaking of messy systems, Chapter 4 dives into the surprisingly contentious history
Oh, yeah.
of the Bible and its canonization.
Mhm.
This feels like a bit of a detour, but it connects to our anxieties about AI.
It does. It does.
So,
Because he shows that even something as seemingly sacred as the Bible
right,
went through edits, revisions,
right?
power struggles to determine which texts were divine
Wow.
and which were apocryphal.
Okay, so which ones were in and which ones were out?
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, what if different choices had been made?
Right.
Would our understanding of truth be completely different today?
Yeah. It's a powerful thought.
It is a powerful thought that even our most cherished beliefs are shaped by human decisions
Yes.
and historical accidents.
That brings us to a crucial question in the age of AI.
Okay.
If even the Bible, a text considered by many to be the Word of God,
Right?
is subject to human fallibility,
Yeah.
how can we possibly expect AI to be perfectly objective and unbiased?
That is a chilling thought,
Mm.
especially as we increasingly rely on algorithms
Right.
to make decisions in areas like law enforcement, healthcare, finance.
Whose values are baked into these systems?
Right. Who ultimately benefits from their deployment.
These are the questions we'll be grappling with
Okay.
as we continue our deep dive into Nexus.
And speaking of grappling with complex ideas,
Yeah.
Harari's next chapter tackles a concept that's near and dear to us at Librarian, Oasis.
I love this.
Democracy.
Democracy.
In Chapter 5, he frames democracy as an information network built on the idea of a conversation, a back-and-forth exchange of ideas
I like that.
that ideally leads to a more informed and just society.
Makes sense. Right.
It does make sense, yeah.
He also points out that large-scale democracy
Yeah.
was practically impossible
Right.
for most of history because of technological limitations.
You can't have a national conversation if you can't communicate beyond your local village.
Right. Think about ancient Athens, where direct democracy thrived.
Yeah.
Citizens gathered in the agora
Ah.
to debate and vote directly on laws.
Right.
This worked for a small city-state, but not for an empire like Rome.
Right. So democracy as an information network requires certain technologies
It does.
to function on a large scale.
Precisely. And technologies like the printing press, newspapers, radio, television, they revolutionized this democratic conversation.
Right. Enabling large-scale networks of information exchange.
Yes. But those technologies also introduced new problems.
Of course, yeah.
Propaganda.
Propaganda.
The potential for mass manipulation.
Right. So we've gone from pigeons delivering vital messages to algorithms shaping our understanding of the world.
And that brings us to a chapter that's both exciting and, well,
A little unnerving.
yeah.
The new members.
Huh.
How computers are different from printing presses.
Uh.
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
Well,
AI enters the stage.
here it comes.
So it's not just another tool in the information network toolkit.
Not at all. Harari argues that AI is a completely different kind of player, one that can learn, act, and even create on its own.
Wow.
This raises a host of ethical dilemmas.
Of course, yeah.
It forces us to reconsider what it means for information to be true or reliable.
Are we saying that AI is more powerful than human storytelling now?
That's a question we'll be exploring further as we delve into the next part of Nexus.
Let's take a break. Stay tuned, everyone.
Yes, stay tuned.
Welcome back to Librarian Oasis. This deep dive is about to get even deeper.
Much deeper. So AI, it's changing the information network in some pretty fundamental ways.
Yeah, we left off with this idea of AI as this new player on the scene.
Right. And Harari really gets into, in Chapter 6, how it's not just a tool, you know?
Right, it's not just like another printing press.
Exactly. He calls them the new members. And he brings up some really unsettling real-world examples.
Okay, like what?
Well, like the Rohingya massacre in Myanmar.
Oh, wow.
It shows how Facebook's algorithms, which were designed for engagement, right,
To keep people on the platform.
ended up amplifying hate speech and contributing to real-world violence.
So it's like, it's not some neutral tool.
No, it reflects the biases and agendas of its creators and the data it's trained on.
That's a scary thought.
It is, and then there's the story of Blake Lemoine, the Google engineer.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
He became convinced that one of Google's chatbots had achieved sentience.
Seriously.
Now, whether or not that's true, it raises all these questions about AI's potential, you know?
Like, can it mimic human emotions?
Exactly, and even manipulate our beliefs.
Oh, that's a bit unsettling.
It is. It's both fascinating and terrifying.
So if AI can manipulate our emotions, imagine the potential for surveillance.
Oh yeah, Chapter 7, that's where things get really chilling. Harari takes us back to regimes like Ceausescu's Securitate in Romania.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
They were desperate to monitor their citizens, but they just didn't have the technology to do it effectively.
Right.
AI changes all that.
So now we're talking facial recognition, social credit systems, algorithms that can analyze our every move.
And predict our behavior.
It's like those dystopian novels we've all read.
Right. They don't seem so far-fetched anymore.
No, not at all. It's kind of freaking me out a little.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
Like, imagine a world where your social credit score dictates your access to jobs, loans, travel.
It's the potential of AI-powered surveillance.
Constant scrutiny and control. It's like the panopticon has become digital.
And all-encompassing.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little uneasy just thinking about it.
Well, it's good to be aware of the potential downsides, but remember,
Yeah.
Harari also emphasizes that AI is fallible.
Okay, that's at least a little reassuring.
In Chapter 8, he delves into the ways in which AI can fail, often with serious consequences.
Okay, so how can AI go wrong? I mean, it's supposed to be all hyper-rational objective.
Right, but well, algorithms are susceptible to bias. Remember, they learn from the data they're fed,
Right.
and the real world is full of biases and inequalities.
Okay, so those biases can get baked into the algorithm.
Exactly, amplified and even weaponized by AI systems.
So like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Harari gives the example of the COMPAS algorithm.
COMPAS algorithm.
It was used in the U.S. justice system, and it was found to be racially biased, assigning black defendants higher risk scores.
Even when their criminal history was similar to white defendants.
Exactly.
So if we're using AI to make life-altering decisions like sentencing or parole.
We need to be incredibly careful about this potential for bias.
Absolutely. And then there's the issue of AI's complexity, right?
Oh, yeah. Chapter 9.
Unfathomable.
He talks about how AI's decision-making can become so intricate that even their creators can't understand them.
Unfathomable. That sounds ominous.
Well, think about AlphaGo, the AI that beat the world champion Go player.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
It made moves that baffled even grandmasters. They were brilliant.
But no one could figure out why.
Not even the AI's creators could explain why it chose those specific strategies.
So we're talking about an intelligence that's operating on a level beyond human comprehension.
It seems that way.
And that has big implications for accountability, right?
Huge. If we don't understand how AI arrives at its conclusions.
How can we hold it responsible for its actions?
Exactly. And how can we make sure it aligns with our values and ethical principles?
It's like we're losing control of the steering wheel while hurtling down the highway.
It's exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time.
And that feeling, that exhilaration and terror, it leads us right into Chapter 10.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
The totalitarian computer politics.
This is where Harari explores the potential for AI-powered totalitarianism.
Okay, we're in full-on dystopian territory now, so paint me a picture.
Okay, imagine the level of control of regimes like the Stalinist USSR, but amplified by AI.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about a system that can monitor your every move, predict your behavior, manipulate your choices.
And suppress any form of dissent.
It's a world where individuality and freedom are sacrificed.
For algorithmic efficiency.
A chilling thought, right?
It is. It's a very bleak vision.
But Harari also points out that such a system, one that relies on perfect control, might be inherently fragile.
Fragile? How so?
Well, think about it. A single unforeseen error, a glitch in the code.
It could bring the whole thing crashing down.
Exactly. So there's a glimmer of hope there.
Even AI can't create a perfect totalitarian state.
Maybe not. But the potential for things to go wrong, even in a highly controlled system, it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not foolproof.
And that brings us to Chapter 11, the Silicon Curtain.
Ooh, that sounds ominous. What's behind this digital divide?
So Harari asks this question, will the AI revolution create a new global order?
Okay, one where the world is divided.
Between those who control AI and those who don't.
So not just a digital divide, but a power divide.
With huge geopolitical consequences.
The data becomes the new oil.
Right, the fuel that drives the AI engine.
And whoever controls the data pipelines controls the future.
It's a sobering thought, and it raises questions about who benefits from this AI revolution.
And who gets left behind?
But it's not all doom and gloom. In the final chapter, Harari reminds us that cooperation is always an option.
Cooperation. After all this talk about AI-powered surveillance, totalitarianism, data colonialism.
I know, it's hard to imagine.
Yeah, I'm having trouble picturing a cooperative future right now.
I get it. But Harari argues that our ability to exchange information
To connect with each other.
across borders and cultures, that's the key.
To navigating the challenges of the AI revolution.
Exactly. He highlights how, despite the Cold War, the threat of nuclear annihilation,
Yeah,
the world saw a decline in warfare in the latter half of the 20th century.
that's true.
And he attributes that, at least in part, to a shift in cultural values,
Like a growing understanding of our shared humanity.
despite our differences.
Right, so we need a similar shift in values to navigate the challenges of the AI revolution.
He says instead of seeing AI as a threat,
Yeah.
we need to find ways to harness its power for good, for the collective good.
So it's not just about developing new technologies. It's about shaping the values and ethics that guide their use.
Exactly. Harari's book is both a warning and a call to action.
A call to action to do what?
To think critically about the impact of AI and to work together to ensure a future where technology serves humanity.
Not the other way around.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Nexus,
Yeah.
I'm just kind of in awe,
Yeah.
at the sheer scale of it all.
The scale of how these information networks shape our lives. It's incredible.
And a healthy dose of concern too, right?
Oh, for sure. About how AI might reshape humanity as we know it, I mean.
Harari gives us a lot to think about.
He really does.
From those ancient myths and biblical texts
Right.
to the mind-boggling complexity of AI.
It's clear that information, it's always been at the heart of human societies. But what's different now? What's changing?
That's the key question.
Yeah.
He's saying the nature of information itself, it's shifting.
Okay.
We're moving from a world of stories and documents
Right.
to a realm dominated by algorithms and data streams.
It's like a whole new ball game.
It is, and it raises the question, a huge question for us.
What's that?
How do we make sure that these new forms of information, they serve humanity?
Right. Instead of leading to, our enslavement or even destruction.
It's a daunting challenge.
Yeah, it is.
But one we can't ignore.
We can't just bury our heads in the sand.
Right. It's not just about developing the technology. It's about shaping the values, the ethics that guide its use.
It's about making conscious choices about the future we want, the future we're building.
He cautions us against assuming that AI is infallible.
Right. We can't just hand over the reins to algorithms and expect them to magically solve all our problems.
Exactly. And in fact, we've seen how these algorithms can perpetuate biases.
Yeah.
Amplify inequalities.
Even contribute to violence and discrimination.
Right. So it's not enough to just create powerful AI.
We have to create AI that aligns with our values.
That's transparent, accountable, and respects human dignity and autonomy.
It's a tall order.
It is a tall order. The stakes are incredibly high.
And it requires a global conversation.
Right. Absolutely. We need everyone involved.
Not just tech experts and policymakers.
Everyone who'll be impacted by this AI revolution,
It's not just a technical issue.
No, it's a human issue.
It demands our attention, our collective wisdom.
Harari talks about finding this balance.
Balance between what?
Competence and compassion.
Okay.
Between technological progress and ethical responsibility.
We need both
Yeah, it's not an either-or.
to navigate this uncharted territory.
The future isn't predetermined.
Right.
We have the power to shape it, to guide the development of AI in a way that benefits, everyone.
It's a choice we make every day with every line of code, every investment, every conversation we have about technology.
This deep dive into Nexus, it's been a real eye-opener,
It has.
It's challenged us to think differently about information, about power.
About what it means to be human in this digital landscape.
And we encourage everyone listening,
Yes. Pick up Nexus.
read it for yourself.
Join the conversation.
It affects all of us, and the more voices we have,
The better equipped we'll be to face these challenges.
the opportunities, the challenges, it's all out there.
Until next time on Librarian Oasis, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep those conversations going.
The future of information networks, it's in our hands.
Let's make it a future worthy of our shared humanity.